What the Acholi people want for justice and peace is a confession, an admission of mistakes made by either side of the conflict, government side and the rebel side. A total unconditional forgiveness to the parties, to bring them home, those who are in the bush, to unite with the government side and work for peace for the good of everyone else. But if we are to say that the rebels have to account for the crime they have committed, then it would look like we're looking at one side of justice, which might not be fair and honest. It might cause some fear. Why did the government side work with the ICC parties to ensure that the period where they could have committed atrocities had been left out of the issue of accountability? Does it mean they want to hide their guilt? And because after hiding their guilt, they would seem to be on the right to continue and persecute those who would have come home? Because if you're going to reconcile, as party, all the other side of the party must be responsible for their guilt. The other side should not look more guilty than the other side if there should be reconciliation. So the ICC laws would seem to apply that the Konyist side are more guilty of committing war crimes against the population than the government side. But the community know that the government side also committed atrocities. And then they will always ask, why not the government side to also account for us? If anything, the majority of the animals, these were taken away, were taken by the government side. Most of the homes were looted by the government side because the rebels would not have anywhere to loot machines and carry them to. But at least those machines were carried away by soldiers, and we believe it was the government side who took those machines. So the civilians know who did what crime against them. And the ICC law cannot make the civilians ask all the sides to account for those crimes that have been committed. So if they have to respond to the ICC law, it would be with apathy, with disappointment, because it will not bring the total essence of reconciliation, where all the sides admit their mistakes, and then the people against whom the crime have been committed forgive them and accept them back as partners to work in the rehabilitation. Then, of course, regarding that, though local, the war has had an international aspect. It has affected other parts of the country in Uganda. Most of the people in Uganda have been affected. In one way or the other, people from different sides of the country met their deaths as they were traveling. Others were killed in the fighting. And so there is need for all of them to be involved in the reconciliation. Now, traditionally, the matter of food would not only be a local thing. It transcends communities, neighbors, people who are involved in one conflict. Through their representatives, chiefs, elders, and the key parties involved in the conflict. So that if the ceremony is conducted, all the parties are represented. All the parties agree to make a difference. All the parties agree to sensitize their communities about the dangers of war and the importance of peace, so that internal community mechanisms that will sustain peaceful efforts are developed. And then there would be no longer any kind of animosity against those who have committed crimes. Because it is an omen for a person to again get involved in crime or in violence after Matofut has been conducted. But many lawyers, many other people have raised concern that how can Matofut be promoted to the international level, where in regards we put the Sudanese, the Southern Sudanese who have also borne the burden of this war. They have lost a lot of people. The war has been fought even in their own countries. Their homes have been burned down by the rebels. It is not impossible to bring them on the scene of the Matoput. But there has to be a beginning. a local beginning, and thereafter the leaders can do the same. Because we are not going to take all the rebels to say, let's go to Sudan and we conduct Matoput or reconciliation. The people like Kony and his commanders at the higher echelon should be able to go to Sudan and say, we are sorry for the crime committed. Now we want a ceremony. You will do this ceremony on behalf of your people and we on behalf of our people. And then it will be done. But at the international level, there is need for a formal law which can accept that. And that means the parliament of Uganda must provide this law, and the Sudanese government must also provide a law for that. Then, the UN agencies which oversees reconciliation, peace and reconciliation, must be able to have a provision, maybe a special chapter or kind of article to provide for the same, so that the Great Lakes region, which has seen the heinous crimes committed during these 20 years of war, can be accommodated through a peaceful system. It is possible. Human beings are dynamic. They can do something which is good for them if they are interested, provided there is no propaganda, there is no selfish interest in politics to bar it from happening. I believe all this is possible. That's what I think.